is that Grihastha is also an ashrama or spiritual order. But if one simply satisfies his sense as a householder, then he is a grihamedi. For a grihamedi to accept a wife means to satisfy the senses. But for a grihastha, a qualified wife is an assistant in every respect for advancement in spiritual activities. It is the duty of the wife to take charge of household affairs and not to compete with the husband. And that's a big statement right there. We'll discuss that in a minute. A wife is meant to help, but she cannot help her husband unless he is completely equal to her in age, character, and quality. So it says it's implying here, but she cannot help her husband unless he is completely equal to her in age, character, and quality. So sometimes you hear about a woman who might be, 50 years old, and she marries someone, a boy that's only 30 years old or 20 years old, you know. Or sometimes you hear of a man who's like 50 or 60 years old, and he marries a girl that's 20 years old. Now, why do they do that? It's not really based on, love, because when the woman is older than the man, or when the man is much older than the woman, there's some selfish, let's say, purpose. If a man marries, let's say he's 50 or 60 years old, and he marries a girl that's 20 years old, the understanding is that he will get more energy and by marrying such a young girl rather than marrying an older woman. And that girl will be, let's say, uh, she'll be exploited by the old man, uh, and she'll get weakened and he'll get stronger. Now, if the opposite thing, an older woman marries a young man, well, now it invigorates her and it makes him less, let's say, um, powerful in his mental and physical state. So it's very important that a man be a little bit older than the woman. Uh, so in that way, but if the woman is older than the man, then she's going to extract his energy. But if the man is a little older or about the same age as the girl, then there's not this big difference in age. And but men like to marry. They might be married and then they get a divorce, and in their next marriage they marry a much younger girl. That is to invigorate them, and they actually exploit the energy of the girl. How do we know this? Okay. I think it's going to explain it later on in the Bhagavatam. But here it says that um, well, I think later on, Prabhupada will explain what I just said. Uh, why, older men like to marry much younger women, because it invigorates them. They actually uh, extract energy from that younger girl. And it's not good for the girl because she's being exploited by this older man, much older man. And it can be the opposite. Sometimes very old women, they marry young men. And now they do that because it invigorates them and the man gets exhausted, you know. Okay. However, it says here.
No, just time check another 5 minutes.
What's that?
Another 5 minutes we'll wrap up.
Oh, okay. So in the purport today, it says that the household duty of a man is not to satisfy his sense gratification, but to remain with a wife and children, and at the same time attain advancement in spiritual life. Okay, there it is. That explains everything about marriage. One who does not do so is not a householder, but a grihamedi. A grihamedi is someone who's a sense gratifier. Two words are used in Sanskrit literature. One is grihasta, and the other is grihamedi. The difference between grihamedi and grihasta is that grihasta is also an ashrama or spiritual order. But if one simply satisfies his senses as a householder, then he is a grihamedi. For a grihamedi, to accept a wife means to satisfy the senses. But for a grihasta, a qualified wife is an assistant in every respect for advancement and spiritual activities. That's a very, very important statement. It is the duty of the wife to take charge of household affairs and not to compete with the husband. Why? Because men always like to be superior in knowledge and strength and so forth. And if the wife is superior, like sometimes you'll see, the wife completely controls the husband. So the husband is called a henpecked husband. Look that word up, henpecked. So that's not really good because that's not the right, let's say, qualification. So here Prabhupada says that a grihasta, for a grihasta, a qualified wife is an assistant in every respect for advancement in spiritual activities. It is the duty of the wife to take charge of household affairs and not to compete with the husband. A wife is meant to help, but she cannot help her husband unless he is completely equal to her in age, character, and quality. Yes, what is your...
Devised and given orders by one's wife and female partner, typically used of a man.
I didn't understand what you said.
Continually criticized and given orders by one's wife or female partner.
Okay, so that's not good, right? That means he's henpecked. Look that word up, henpecked. Oh, you looked it up. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's completely, the husband is completely controlled by the wife,
That is the formula for happy marriage in this Yuga.
Happy marriage where? Happy marriage where?
The formula for a happy marriage in this Yuga.
In this one?
In this yuga.
Oh, yuga, this yuga. No, it's not. It's
Prabhu is sharing with experience.
it's misery. Misery on steroids. Misery on steroids. Okay, so I think we have to stop now, right? Okay, so we'll stop on misery on steroids. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki. What's interesting is that after Prabhupada got married and he had a couple of kids, I think he had 5 kids altogether. He talked to his father and said, I want to marry somebody else. And the father said, why is that? He said, I don't like my wife. So the father convinced him not to do that. And then Prabhupada followed. Huh?
His father said it is good for your spiritual life.
Yeah. But he actually went to his father openly said, I don't like her.
You want somebody else.
Actually, the father said it's good Good. You should not be too attached to your wife, you know. Okay, Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, we are ending early because Maharaj needs to go to Seattle. Thank you.
Prabhupada went to his father.
Yeah.